Good evening. You are tuned in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Selangor ruler Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah has slammed the Malaysian Football League MFL's decision to slap Selangor FC with a 100,000 ringgit fine for withdrawing from the Charity Shield. The club was also docked 3 points after pulling out of last month's match against Johor Darul Ta'zim due to security concerns. In a rare public expression of dismay, he described the punishment meted against the state's football club as irresponsible, without goodness, inhuman and apathetic. The ruler also expressed his disappointment at the decision taken by the MFL and the Football Association of Malaysia, particularly its president, Datuk Hamidin Mohamad Amin. In the statement through the Selangor Royal Office, he warned the MFL to be careful in making a decision and said that he would have withdrawn the club from participating in the Super League if he were leading the Selangor Football Association FAS. Sultan Sharafuddin, who is former FAS president and current patron of the association, had publicly backed Selangor's decision to pull out of the Charity Shield match in protest at the acid attack on the state's young star winger Faisal Halim.
Meanwhile, the MFL said Selangor FC can submit an appeal after being handed penalties for the non-attendance at the Charity Shield match. MFL CEO Datuk Stuart Ramalingam said the Red Giants have until the end of this week to submit an official appeal letter. He said the number of penalties imposed on Selangor FC could also be reduced based on the consideration of the MFL appeals body. Selangor FC would also need to compensate Johor Darul Ta'zim, the home team for the season opening match, with the amount to be announced later.
The government will be enforcing amendments to the Environmental Quality Act 1974 that will increase penalties for illegal importation of e-waste to a maximum fine of 10 million ringgit. Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Minister Nik Nazmi Ahmad says this was one of the government's efforts to combat illegal e-waste import syndicates. According to him, the amendments were in the final stages of gazettement and would come into effect on 7 July. The fine has been increased from the previous 500,000 ringgit to discourage any importation, smuggling and dumping of e-waste, whether by land, sea or in transit, without the approval of the Department of Environment. Nik Nazmi said based on data from the Royal Malaysian Customs Department, as many as 106 of the 301 containers detained from March 21st to June 19th contained e-waste. He said the syndicate used false documentation to import waste illegally for recycling, mainly from the United States. University Malaya is expected to offer a cardiothoracic specialist training course this October. Higher Education Minister Datuk Sri Zamri Abdul Kadir says that this move will enable those wishing to pursue this specialization to do so at with other institutions expected to follow suit in the future.
Zamri told the Dewan Rakyat that with this, there will be other pathways for the cardiothoracic course besides UiTM. Other universities are also expected to offer the course. This, he said, would help resolve the issue related to the shortage of specialized doctors in Malaysia. According to Health Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad, there are only 17 cardiothoracic specialists serving under the ministry for the country's 34 million population. Separately, Zamri reiterated that UiTM's policy for Bumiputra is still maintained per Article 153 of the Federal Constitution. According to him, the policy is still necessary in the effort to bridge the gap between races, especially involving socio-economic aspects.
Daripada Kongres Ekonomi Bumiputra pada tahun 2024 oleh Kementerian Ekonomi menunjukkan masih terdapat jurang ekonomi melibatkan Bumiputra dari segi purata pendapatan bulanan, pegangan ekuiti korporat, kadar kemiskinan, pengeluaran tenaga kerja mahir serta kelayakan profesional. Malah kadar miskin mutlak dalam kalangan Bumiputra masih memerlukan usaha secara berterusan untuk diperbaiki.
Felcra Berhad's 14 subsidiaries have accumulated a total debt of 1.21 billion ringgit, the Public Accounts Committee (PAC) revealed today. Speaking at a press conference in Parliament, PAC Chairman Datuk Mas Emriati Samsudin says losses incurred by the subsidiaries were the biggest contributor to Felcra's debt. Of the total debt as at April 2023, Felcra's estate joint ventures accounted for 309.8 million ringgit, while Felcra Properties had total debt of 842.7 million ringgit. The company is wholly owned by Minister of Finance Inc. and supervised by the Rural and Regional Development Ministry. PAC said it will give the ministry and Felcra 2 months to implement its recommendations regarding Felcra's accrued debt. PAC wants stricter oversight of Felcra's subsidiaries and to bring their operations into line with the organization's original objectives. Datuk Sri Ramlan Harun has been appointed as the new chairman of the Election Commission (EC) effective today. Chief Secretary to the government, Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali, says the appointment received the consent of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim. The former Rural and Regional Development Ministry Secretary General replaces Tan Sri Abdul Ghani Saleh, who retired on May 9th. Ramlan had been in the public service for 28 years, serving several ministries and departments. The 60-year-old holds a master's degree in Land Resource Management from University Putra Malaysia and a bachelor's degree in Housing and Building Planning from University Science Malaysia. He also has a diploma in public administration from the National Institute of Public Administration. We will be back with more after the break.
Lonjakan bisnes anda dengan perkongsian oleh usahawan tempatan, penyedia penyelesaian digital Unify Business, agensi kerajaan seperti Matrix, perkongsian oleh TikTok Shop Malaysia dan Fox Malaya, sesi pentas niaga yang dibuka untuk semua dan banyak lagi. Jumpa anda di Air Mall Tobar City, Johor Bahru. Dibawakan oleh penaja utama jelajah jiwa SME, Unify Business, rakan digital pilihan anda.
ASEAN's digital economy is growing exponentially, with experts estimating that the implementation of the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement could unlock at least $1 trillion for the region by 2030. How can countries work together to realize this potential? Astro AWANI Editor-in-Chief Ashwan Ismail reports from Dalian, China.
Well, thank you. One of the best key takeaway points is that within ASEAN region, not many people are aware of DEFA, Digital Economic Framework Agreement. And it's important to take one particular note on why DEFA is important and why is it important for us to achieve by end of 2025 is that the main objective is to create sustainable, equitable, and definitely inclusive digital economy. And it is interesting, since one of its kind in the world, for a regional bloc like ASEAN, unlike European Union, to have this DEFA and to bring everyone together to agree on the fundamental agreement of how can it be done, and it's going to be a benchmark to the whole region. And speaking of which, and this session that was happening this morning, focusing on these key areas of understanding not just the pain points, but also the opportunities revolve around the digital economy that potentially could achieve, I think the market alone, the size is about between 1 trillion to 2 trillion US dollar by 2030. So let's hear from these two prominent key panelists from disruptors as well as ministerial perspective from Indonesia, Pak Sandiaga Uno.
Entrepreneurship is very, very important, Ash, because we know that there are pockets of startups in ASEAN, be it in Vietnam, in Thailand, and we could see best practices among different countries. Indonesia has large populations, but actually we also need some cooperations and collaborations in relations into creating new jobs. When you talk about prosperity from the digital economy, you are talking about good quality jobs. Not only just digital economy create more jobs than it actually replace, but through AI and through machine learning, Internet of Things, you could actually also create a better quality jobs that produce better productivity. Sectors such as digital transformations that we're doing in Indonesia very rapidly could also enable other type of transformations like green transformations. We're moving our economy into the green economy, and digital platform could really, and in particular digital services, could actually complement that.
A lot of the blind spots as we see, a lot of the challenges that we see in the private sector as we move and expand within the regions come from as tactical as a payment system within the region. Every single country, Vietnam in itself have very many different payment systems. And then moving to Indonesia and moving to another country. Now, it takes a lot of resources in the company itself. That interoperability is not there yet, right? So we have to figure out the resources that we have to take in adapting to all of that. And then comes the IP law, which is also very different. And data localization, some country require that and some country doesn't, and so we have to really be mindful of that. So I think DeFi is definitely, hopefully we move fast within all of the governments, but I think if it does happen, I think it's allowing us for the private sector to move and expand the business a lot faster.
That 1 hour definitely is going to be one of the key signals for all ASEAN members that more work needs to be done in terms of pushing whether this agreement resonates or these frameworks, this principal agreement of digital economy resonates well, not just within the state or the power that be or the ASEAN member from governmental perspective, but also from the people of ASEAN, and how does that impact the whole society of ASEAN at large. I'm Ashwat Ismail signing off from World Economic Forum, Dalian, China. This time around, definitely we're going to have a more and more discussion and discourse around digital economy ahead of ASEAN Chairmanship 2025.
Takeoff and landing at South Korea's Incheon International Airport was disrupted for about 3 hours before dawn due to more trash-filled balloons launched by North Korea. According to airport officials, one balloon landed on the tarmac near Passenger Terminal 2, and the 3 runways at Incheon were temporarily shut down.
North Korea has flown balloons carrying trash into South Korea since late May, with hundreds landing in South Korea. Officials said several balloons were spotted in and around the airport boundaries, adding that this was not the first time operations at the airport, which is about 40 kilometers from the North Korean border, had been disrupted by balloons nearby. The disruption to domestic and international flights occurred between 1 to 5 a.m. local time, and the runways have reopened since then. North Korea has said the balloons are retaliation for a propaganda campaign by North Korean defectors and activists in the South, who regularly send over balloons carrying food, medicine, money, and leaflets criticizing the North's leaders.
That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching. Good night.